Rick Grenell, Senior Advisor for Foreign Policy and National Security, is joining us now. And I want to follow up on a story. It was last week, started with Congressman Jim Jordan when he sent a letter into the FBI Director Christopher Wray, and he said, we've got whistleblowers. They are saying that they are feeling pressure to reclassify criminal acts as, quote, domestic violent extremism to meet the Biden claim that domestic violent extremism is the most dangerous threat to our country, not fentanyl, not our poor southern border, not the Chinese Communist Party, not Russian aggression, but no, it's again, domestic violent extremism. I'm not trying to say there's none of it. It exists, but they're being told, hey, you better pad those numbers. Try to find some connection. To somebody sent a tweet out that said they're Republican also. Okay, we can reclassify that as domestic violent extremism. On top of that, the whistleblowers have said there is a purge, Rick, going on inside the FBI of anyone who happens to be conservative. Now, Senator Grassley has followed up with Christopher Wray, who's got to testify before him in a few days with the same information. So they're all these whistleblowers, Rick, good people inside the FBI, law enforcement, saying bad things are happening because when you politicize law enforcement, you are in a danger zone.
Oh, where to begin, Jordan? This is like so full of hypocrisy all the way around. You know, the media in D.C. constantly said that the Trump administration was politicizing DOJ and the FBI. But what is absolutely clear is that the Biden team and Democrats weaponize government when they have it, whether it's the IRS, the FBI, the DOJ. We see political prosecutions. We see what the third world does is when the ruling party doesn't want someone to run against them, they put together a sham investigation like January 6th, where there's not a single dissenting voice on that committee. This is not an investigation. Now what we're seeing is Senator Grassley really getting aggressive about getting rid of politics at the FBI. I know Senator Grassley personally, and he has been very, very concerned about the politics inside the FBI. He and I have talked about the politics inside the FBI. And the reality is, and I should make very clear, that the rank and file FBI agents are good people working for truth, justice, in the American way, and they know that their bosses are politicizing every issue, whether it's Russian collusion or now what we see is the Democrats' talking point of domestic terrorism becoming overplayed, using the FBI and phony numbers to pretend like it's a bigger problem than what it is. And let me just finish by saying this. When you pretend something is a bigger problem, that means the actual large problems are not being confronted. And that's what's scary.
I want to play what Senator Grassley had to say about these whistleblowers, because I think what Rick said is so important. We always say this for the FBI. It's the rank and file are the ones coming forward bravely as whistleblowers to members of Congress to say this is going on. And they know they're all pointing to the same FBI special agent. Take a listen, Byte 11.
Whistleblowers coming to me, and I listen to a lot of whistleblowers because they know where the bodies are buried, and with evidence that a special agent in charge by the name of Thibault was making decisions of what investigations should go ahead and which ones should be stopped. And we know by his social media comments that he is very, very liberal, very, very partisan.
We know also that he was, Rick, involved with the Russia hoax. So he was part of that team that was pushing that. He was also part of the Hunter Biden laptop, this is disinformation media, can't touch this. And now he is leading a purge of good folks at the FBI because I mean, you need a balance in the country. There should be people there of all political stripes and backgrounds so that there's a total balance and no bias. And you have to always fight against political bias. And I get that by human nature, but especially in law enforcement when they have the ability to ruin your life.
Well, what is really frustrating in this is that this individual has been at the center for every single partisan fight. And we know he's a progressive Democrat. He is a vocal partisan and proud partisan. And that alone should tell the senators, look, if that's the precedent, if somehow you get to be a partisan political investigation arm when you take power, that's a terrible precedent. And don't teach Republicans when they take over to do that. I'm 100% against politics in any of these arms like DOJ, IRS, FBI. But this is permeated and exploded under the Democrats, and yet the Democrats look the other way. Where are the senators and congressmen who are supposed to be monitoring these committees and these investigative bodies and these cabinet officials? They need to start speaking up, and Senator Grassley needs a little help.
Yeah, and Rick, it does a lot of damage because you oversaw the intel agencies as acting DNI. When the American people start seeing these stories about law enforcement agencies, or whether it's the FBI or DOJ, or if it felt like it was the intel community with some of the laptops and how they work together, if we lose faith in those institutions, they don't work. It doesn't work.
The American people have already lost faith with these institutions. When I was at DNI, I kept saying to all of the intel agencies, you've got a big problem. You've got to convince the American people that you're fair. They don't think you're fair. And let me just finish by saying, where's Adam Schiff? He was so jumpy about politics permeating the intelligence agencies. He was constantly saying that I was being political when I was just trying to get rid of the politics. But what they don't like is when you get rid of the liberal progressive politics, they then think that you're playing politics when you're actually just trying to play fair and get rid of those individuals who are putting their thumb on the scale.
Rick, final thoughts on the Nancy Pelosi is now, as of now, has decided to go to move forward with the trip to Taiwan. The CCP has put out a statement that was threatening enough that Twitter actually did take it. It was flagged by Twitter because they threatened to shoot her plane down, or I guess have her. I think the exact words were have her removed. Dispel her plane. What are your thoughts on her moving forward?
Look, I'm concerned that this is played out publicly. She should have just gone to Taiwan and not worried about what she's saying publicly, but playing this out with the Chinese in such a vocal and big way, I think is a mistake. Just go, show that we have allies and that we're not going to be beholden to what the Chinese tell us to do. They can't veto our foreign policy.
Rick, as always, we appreciate all of your insight there.